Welcome everyone to today's webinar. I am really excited to present this framework to you all. It is the exact framework we use here at R17 that has helped many businesses and brands we've worked on scale and grow in their respective markets. So there's a lot that can be kind of delved into, and if we had to go through every single step, we would be here for weeks. So essentially what we've done is we've simplified down exactly what you need to do to be able to grow. So focusing on that 20% of work that drives that 80% result. And what I do want to say is if you are a brand that is spending 3 to 10K or even more, you're struggling to scale, you don't know where the opportunities lie. Number one, you're not alone. There are many businesses that face this challenge. And second of all, this framework is aimed to solve that issue. This is not another one of your YouTube guru hacks where they promise a magic ROAS button or that we're gatekeeping some massive secret that you're missing somewhere along your marketing journey. This is a proven framework that we use at our agency and that has helped scale many brands. So it's tested strategies that are going to help you set that foundation up for success. So without further ado, let's get started. So with working with over 100 brands, we've identified kind of 4 mistakes that are preventing many e-commerce brands from growing. So number one, the groundwork is your most important place to start. This is where you really want to analyze your product, understand your unique selling point, what are competitors doing, how are they positioning a product if you're in the same market, and also understanding your audience. Your target personas are so incredibly important. You really want to know exactly who they are, what triggers them to purchase, what are their problems, what is your product solving for with the problem that they are facing. So poor USP positioning is something we see very often. And a way in which we're going to mitigate that through this 6-week program is to sell the right value to the right people. So you really want to position and ensure that your product is being showcased to the people you want it to. Then, not understanding your key metrics. This is quite a big one. We often get brands that come to us that don't really know what their break-even ROAS is or when they are profitable on many of their ad platforms. And this can be a real big challenge because if you don't know at what point you're profitable or if acquiring your first new customer through these ad platforms is not profitable, you're really going to struggle in the future. So we're going to look at those key metrics, how to analyze them, but also how to improve them along the way. And then another big one is bad tracking. This is often one that is overlooked or missed or not focused on because it can be very technical or there's the stigma around it being quite complicated. But essentially, if you aren't fully utilizing your platform capabilities and sending the right data back to the ad platforms you are spending your hard-earned cash on, it's going to be very difficult for those algorithms to optimize and be able to showcase your product in front of the right consumers. So what we're going to do is we're going to tell the platforms exactly what we want to get, who we want to target, and at what cost. And in order for us to do that, we need to ensure our tracking is up to scratch. And the beauty about tracking is once it's implemented correctly, you can literally forget about it and not do anything else around it. It pays dividends in the future to get it right from the beginning. And then the final one is around random ad testing. So there are many kind of strategies where you don't really know what's working, you had a fluke, it skyrocketed, then all of a sudden your ad performance plummeted and you can't quite understand what led to that. So essentially what we're going to do is we are going to implement structured testing on a consistent basis to help you really understand what is working, what is not working, cut what's not working and iterate what is to really help this engine of scaling grow and perform. So before we get into it, essentially what makes us qualified to present a webinar like this? So at R17, we are a performance marketing agency and we help scale D2C brands through really focusing on data-driven media plans and the data that we receive from the different platforms, really utilize that to be able to integrate a full funnel growth strategies. And our team of almost 40 people now have helped over 100 brands go from kind of gaining that first traction within the market to absolutely scaling. And to further even prove this, we ourselves at R17 have our own ventures where we've put our money where our mouth is. We're invested in companies or even wholly owned companies and helped scale. So this framework that we're going to go through, the 6-week program, is exactly the program we've used to help scale these brands we are invested in, and essentially some of them we've even been able to exit. So it is a proven tactic. There's no magic formula, as I said. It's just pure hard work, setting the foundation right for getting traction for your brand. We've also won a few awards, so we really are proud of the progress we've made in the last few years. And on the left-hand side, you can check out our success stories that we've seen and have a look there. We've helped many e-commerce, lead gen, a whole range of businesses within different industries to help scale and kind of take them to the next level. Right. So what is this framework actually going to entail, and what's included in this? So this framework consists of a clear 90-day action plan, so 6 weeks. And each week we focus on a different foundational pillar that is essential to getting right for scaling. So in week 1, the most important place to start is looking at where are your growth leaks? Where might you be missing the mark in terms of, understanding and having clarity about your unit economics and your product offering. And if you stick towards the end of this webinar and you've watched through the whole, if you've stuck with us throughout the whole webinar, we will be making available our ads mastery. This is a super powerful resource that includes SOPs and a way in which you can delve deeper into both your unit economics of your brand, but also understanding your ideal target personas, understanding your competitors out there. What are they doing differently that is working for them that you could maybe iterate, create even better content and ads for your business? In week 2, we'll focus on building profitable ad strategies. So really simplifying it down. It's not about complication in this, it's about consistency. So you want to be super consistent in the way that you are setting campaigns live, as well as tracking them. We're also going to look at, in week 3, maximizing retargeting. This is one area where many brands overlook, and essentially it's looking at a smarter way to retarget those customers that you've already acquired through paid media, but in a much more efficient and cost-efficient way. In week 4, we'll look at how you can boost conversions with landing pages. This is basically the first impression that any consumer has of your brand, and it's essential that that journey is extremely seamless for anyone hopping on your landing pages or the destination that you're taking them to on your website, because without that, they might drop off, and that's where you're actually losing money that you've spent on these ad platforms. And then week 5, really helping you understand which data points to look at to make data-driven decisions. So creating simple reports and setting up the right KPIs to look at in order for you to really make decisions that drive value and not just shooting in the dark. And then finally, there are once you've gotten everything right from week 1 to week 5, in week 6, we will really look at some advanced scaling strategies. So as you can see at the bottom, these methods, they don't contain any fluff. It's not a too good to be true kind of scenario. It's really scaling with this 20% that's going to drive that 80% of growth and results. And it really just takes, with the right work, you can see major success within your business. So finding the growth leaks. So essentially there's 3 steps to this, and we'll go through them one by one fairly quickly. Don't worry about if we go through something too quickly and a point wasn't touched on in this presentation. You will be receiving this presentation at the end that you can go through in your own time, and this will kind of be the foundation of what you'll use in the next 6 weeks when you go through this plan. So essentially it's about doing the groundwork. So, and this is where you'll use the ads mastery, which we will make available at the end of the session. And one important point that I'd like to make here is before scaling ads, you really need to understand your unit economics, because we can't fix kind of a weak funnel or unprofitable offer with ads. You can have the greatest ad strategy, the most compelling offers that are getting people, or ads that are getting people to your website, and then once they land there, you don't have a compelling enough offer. It's not really measuring up against your competitors, and the funnel in which you're taking them through, the journey that the customer is going on, is just not optimized. So this can really amplify the holes within your strategy if these things aren't fixed. So the main key metrics that we look at and want to lock in here at R17 is looking at your new customer acquisition cost. How much are you actually spending on acquiring a customer, and is that profitable? So if you're a brand that has quite a low average order value, so meaning the basket size of your consumer is anything below $50 or €50, this is really where you want to kind of bolster down, and step 2 becomes quite important here. It becomes important for anyone, but especially those who want to, or those businesses who want to acquire customers through paid media. Because if you are spending, let's say, €80 on acquiring a customer through your ad strategy online, and your average order value is only 50, number one, you're going to have to ensure that either that consumer comes and purchases more from you, so there's 2 to 3 to even 5 purchases from that one customer that you've acquired to kind of make it profitable, or you need to look at ways in increasing your average order value. And that's why we ensure and kind of look at making sure we know our numbers and our unit economics. So most brands don't struggle because their ads are bad. They really do struggle because they don't know where they are profitable. And this is quite a common mistake we see with many brands we work with. Then number 2, one of my favorite and probably your largest leverage when advertising online is creating high profit offers. And that's what I mentioned before. If you are a brand that has a low average order value product, this is where you are going to increase and boost your average order value to essentially boost your profitability online. So one is bundling. It's one that you might have seen and come across, and quite common. It's where you kind of group related products to boost that AOV and also the perceived value of the product. So essentially you can create different bundles. So if we look at the example below, like a skincare brand could bundle together a cleanser, moisturizer, SPF, and add a nice bundle name to it, like the essential daily routine kit, and then discount it slightly than if you had to purchase them all individually. And essentially what this does is, for paying for that customer to acquire the product from your store and paying these ad platforms for that customer, you are now being able to increase your profitability. Then the next one is power offers. So it's not about discounting. So oftentimes when we're looking for volume, because we see sales are dipping and we need to increase sales, many turn to discounting their products. But what you don't realize is you're also discounting your profits. You're losing on every order that you make. So here is where, instead of cutting the prices, we're going to add value to or perceived value to the consumers through an irresistible bonus. So you're going to identify certain add-ons, whether that could even be something as like free shipping, where you absorb that in the cost of your product, or it could be a freebie that you create. So the example below is, if you buy like a home gym set which has a super high average order value, you could give like a free $80 workout gear set, or even like a workout plan that you create. If you're a personal trainer, you ask a personal trainer to create, you pay them for that, and then you utilize that to create a higher perceived value, and so you increase the average order value as well. And then the last one is tiered pricing or anchoring. So you might have come across, this is one that Apple utilizes incredibly well in their strategy, and it's by offering 3 different versions, and this not only drives the average order value up, but it drives people to go for the middle offer. So ensuring that your lower tier is not that attractive but still available, and your higher tier obviously also attractive but not as attractive as your middle offer. And that way, giving people 3 options to make a decision and then making the middle offer the most attractive, you can also increase your average order value. And then the last one is auditing your website. So this is where the most leaks happen, is in this customer journey, your first impression of your brand that a consumer receives. And what we look for when kind of looking for these holes within your journey is first impressions matter. So everything above the fold, it should explain what you are selling, who it's for, and why it's valuable. In literally under 5 seconds, someone should know exactly what your product or service is all about and the kind of offer that they can expect. Product images on product landing pages are probably the most overlooked growth lever. One place where you can find a lot of inspiration is on Amazon. Amazon images or Amazon product pages of many brands utilize this strategy quite well, and where many brands see quite a lot of success in conversions through Amazon. And I wanted to highlight one brand that does it absolutely brilliantly, and that's Rolling Square. So what they essentially do is your product images on your website don't have to just be of the product and boring and kind of show all the different angles of your product. To be honest, people don't really care the angles. They really do care why is your product better than the other 10 million cables or 10 million other products out there. So you want to kind of within those product images, because people also don't like to read your product descriptions. So if you are creating the most compelling copy there, I can guarantee you people aren't taking notice there. They're really taking notice on these product images and the social proof that you're giving them. So are there people that have used it? Do you have Google reviews? So those are really important elements that you want to bring. Mobile first. 80% of conversions for e-commerce brands happen on mobile. So you want to ensure that your loading speeds, your buttons, your navigation is incredibly easy for someone to navigate your site. And then your add to cart flow. Really try and reduce the friction here. Oftentimes, I've sometimes seen e-commerce brands that have 1 million pop-ups before you even get to checking out. And this can really hinder someone's experience and not make it great for them to purchase. So really try and make it as streamlined and simple as possible. So before even tweaking your ads, this is actually where you want to start, because you want to make sure that your site can actually convert the traffic that you're paying for and sending that traffic to your site. And just a small pro tip, if you don't know where to start and you're not really sure how to go about this audit, do what we call like a 1-hour audit. Take 1 hour out of your day and review your top 3 products. Go and find those top 3 products for landing pages in Google Analytics if you have this set up. And then go and look specifically at your bounce rates and where they are dropping off in the funnel. This is going to give you an idea of where to begin. What should you first prioritize? Also compare desktop versus mobile performance. What is performing well and why? And then screenshot your product pages of 3 high converting competitors and then compare them. And a great way to do this, or a little life hack, is actually to take a screenshot of your 3 top performing products, take 3 screenshots of your competitors' 3 products, add that into ChatGPT and kind of start asking ChatGPT questions and use them as a soundboard. It can be really powerful to just get a different opinion. Obviously, take everything with a grain of salt and kind of use your own logic and your understanding of your product, because you know your brand best. But it's a great way to kind of get that soundboard. Then in week 2, we will look at building profitable ad strategies. And first and foremost, this is quite important. Where we want to start at is setting up tracking correctly. So, do we have the right events that are firing, and have you implemented CAPI, which is Meta's conversion API? So, what's awesome about tracking is you do it one time properly and you're basically safe for a very, very long time. And it's quite simple to do this through Shopify. You basically just download the app through Shopify, connect all of your accounts, and you're basically set to go, and Shopify does this for you. If you are not sure and want a second pair of eyes, we do a mini audit or not a mini audit, a proper tracking audit at R17 for only $350. And this is where you can kind of have a sure tick of everything is set up correctly. You don't have to worry about it. You know you're tracking the correct events and you're kind of good to go in terms of the data that you are receiving. Then moving on to your campaign structure. So what we suggest is, especially if you're a brand that is tight on marketing spend and you really want to maximize the spend that you have for these platforms, we recommend sticking to 2 platforms. Why? Google and Meta's ad algorithms or platform algorithms are the most advanced. And if you're not making on these 2 platforms, there's a bit of a red flag and you're not going to make it on any other platform. So you really want to set the foundation on Google and Meta to be able to scale elsewhere. And what we recommend is, if you've never run ads before and you're not really sure which platform is best for you, splitting the budget 50-50, running it for at least a month, and then seeing and shifting budget based off of that. So the campaign structure that we recommend, and that is kind of the best in keeping your ad account simplified. Like I said, it's not about complicating your structure, or that it's some sort of hack on Google and Meta. You need to know of some complicated ad strategy. It's literally about getting the basics right. So firstly, you want to have a brand campaign and spend at least 10% of your budget towards your branded keywords. This is important. You don't want to be giving traffic away to competitors. Now, most people will say, oh, but isn't that aren't you paying for customers that are already going to purchase from your brand? Yes and no. Yes, in the sense that you want to ensure that you're always at the top of kind of the search engine at all times for your brand. And secondly, you're going to pay for them in one way or another. So you might as well get it right from the beginning and get them to not even have a second glance at your competitor. Then we recommend setting up a generic campaign, and this is going to be around 40% of the budget, and you're going to split out your ad sets or your ad groups per product category. So meaning, if you are selling dog food, you're going to want to split that out between, if it's different breeds of dogs or different types of dogs for or different types of foods for different types of problems that dogs might facing that you solve for. You want to split that out and be extremely targeted in the keywords that you are searching for. And then the last one is a shopping campaign or PMAX, and this is around 50% of the budget. So now you're going to be asking, when should I use a PMAX? When should I use a shopping campaign? If you have a very low budget, start off with a shopping campaign, see what products are feeding out, and then you can always switch to a PMAX later. Bearing in mind with a PMAX campaign, you want to ensure that the assets, because there's video assets included, you're basically advertising on a wide range of Google's ad inventory. So you want to ensure that you have the highest quality videos, imagery. So it takes quite a lot of effort in producing that content, but it is worth it in the end. And then if we look at Meta, so you want to have at least 20% of your budget available at all times for testing creatives weekly. This is so important. You want to really have a structured approach in understanding what is going for what and what to optimize for. So we recommend 20% of the budget going towards testing campaigns. We're always testing different ad creatives. even audiences that you can test with your top performing creatives, and becomes super essential in being able to scale. Then 65% of your budget to top of funnel, always on campaigns. And this is where you're going to have your top performing creatives running all the time. What's great about Meta is that you could literally, for your testing campaigns, take a whole bunch of ads and even create like variations of your ads through Canva. Upload as many of those creatives as possible through an Advantage Plus campaign for your testing campaign, and see exactly which creatives are performing well. It takes very minimal effort for this type of campaign, but you're always having new creators that you could then duplicate and then add to your top of funnel always on campaign. And this is really going to set you up for success. Then middle of funnel and bottom of funnel, depending on your budget size, you want to have a small percentage of your budget going towards retargeting those visitors that know your brand, they know who you are, but they just haven't purchased yet. And then for your bottom of funnel, you can retarget customers if you have a high average order value, and you really want to increase the LTV of your current customers. You could just have a bottom of funnel campaign, and your customer size needs to be large enough. So we say a customer size of at least 1,000 customers plus to put together a bottom of funnel campaign, so that you can make sure that you're always visible to your existing customers and they don't go to competitors. And then the last piece of the puzzle here is in naming conventions. So why this matters: if you're going to be testing on a weekly basis and you're still trying to figure out what is working for your brand and how to scale, you're going to want to ensure that you can quickly pull this data through reports on your ad platforms and understand what is working. So we've put together kind of a naming format that you can use and still to be able to quickly understand what is under and overperforming in your ad accounts. So I would highly recommend you include these, because it's so easy to just put a report, then filter by the campaign type or product type, see which ads are working for that specific product. If you're doing landing page testing as well, which landing pages have performed the best through that report. It makes it extremely easy to extract that data. And since you want to start making data-driven decisions, you really want to ensure that the data you're extracting is as easy as possible to come by. And then one of the our favorite lines here at R17 that we like to use is simplicity helps, but routine wins all the time. So really making these habits to find the correct performers, and you'll essentially ensure that the more predictable structure, it's way easier to scale and understand what works and cut what doesn't. And then to give platform algorithms enough data to optimize and scale efficiently, you want to ensure that you have enough budget. And what we've done essentially in the next slide I'm going to take you through is to ensure that you're spending at least 3 times your CPA, which is cost per acquisition, per day on the ad platform, to be able to gather enough data to send it back to the platform to be able to optimize for the right audiences. So we've put together a different sheet of why this 3 CPA per day rule is used, and you can go through each in your own time, but essentially why it's a decent proxy to kind of find your like minimal viable daily spend, and to ensure you're not spending too little on the platforms that, you know, your scaling efforts aren't working, you're not finding the traction that's needed. Most ad platforms need like a minimum volume of conversions per week. For Meta, it's often 50 per week, which is a lot of conversions if you have like obviously a high valued product. So this is just to ensure to exit the learning phase and that you start optimizing efficiently and being able to scale your campaigns. And if your daily budget is too low for your CPA, you might get fewer conversions, which will make like that learning process slower and slower for you to get the results you need to make decisions. So in this case, if you have a low budget and you want to decide where to put your budget, we always recommend looking at your kind of daily CPA and what you're spending. If that's high enough, fair enough. Go and advertise on both Google and Meta. If not, we always recommend to start off with Meta. It's a demand-driving platform. However, you can also start on Google. The learning phase is slightly quicker than, depending on what campaign, it can be slightly longer than Meta. So that's why we start and recommend starting off on Meta. Then once you've scaled that platform and you've kind of reached the ceiling, you can then move to a different platform. Or if you have additional budget, you can immediately start on Google. But have a look at, go through these expanded blocks. Have a look at how to calculate your preferred and kind of minimum daily spend in order for you to really see the results that you need to make a decision. Then week 3, maximizing retargeting. So probably one of the most underutilized strategies is really focusing on your email marketing. Why? This is the most cost-efficient way to continue customers coming back and ensuring that you don't overcapitalize on the consumers you've already acquired through ad platforms. To give you an example, you've now spent a certain amount on acquiring a customer through Meta or Google. It's cost you quite a bit, and you need to now ensure that, let's say you've spent your average cost per acquisition is higher than your average order value. You need to ensure that you get a return on investment to make that acquisition profitable. And in order to do this, you are going to retarget them through a cost-efficient platform, which is email and SMS. Many platforms like Klaviyo are an awesome email tool to be able to do this and generate and kind of extract the data you need to retarget to them. So we have 4 different flows that are non-negotiables when setting up your account, and that's your welcome sequences, abandon cart flow, your win-back campaigns, and your post-purchase upsells and cross-sells. And below, we've kind of detailed why they are so important and essentially how many emails you need in that flow. So if you look at, the welcome series, you need 4 to 12, 3 to 8, 3 to 15, and then 4+ emails in each, basically. It might be a daunting task and you're thinking, how the hell am I going to get this done in a week? We recommend starting slow. So make sure that you have all 4 set up, have at least 2 emails in each. So that's very much doable in a week. And then on a weekly basis, just write 1 email that you add per flow to reach that kind of email, the maximum emails that you need in that flow. What you can also do is once you've reached that maximum, it's always an ongoing process. So don't just think, I've done, or my advice is don't just think that you've done 1 week, it's done, you can move on to the next, you don't have to think about it. All these strategies are ongoing. So the 6 weeks are about setting the foundation for success, and then kind of into the future on how you scale is to iterate constantly and we are trying to create a machine that's helping you scale as profitably as possible. And then one area where I see the most businesses fail and why they're like, my email campaigns aren't working, I'm really struggling, is because you're not increasing the deliverability of your emails. And there's a few things you need to look at to ensure that your emails are being sent to the right people, that you're not being marked as spam. And we've outlined this quite in a very detailed way to help you. And I mean, the first one is like authenticating your domain. That went away. Authenticating your domain. And essentially what this does is it ensures that you are or when your email lands within someone's inbox, your consumer's inbox, it is from a reputable brand and that it's not being marked as spam. So I would highly recommend to go through all of these, make sure that you've kind of ticked the boxes. We've outlined it really, really nicely in terms of what you need, and also added some benchmarks for monitoring success. So you're going to just want to have a look at that and then kind of see like where you're falling short and where you need to improve on. But it's definitely easy steps you can take to ensure that your emails are reaching the correct people. Then moving on to week 4, boosting conversions with optimized landing pages. So these are key components that are non-negotiables for your landing page. And what's great about this is that the structure stays exactly the same. It's just the content that changes. So this is also a surefire way to ensure that you can test different landing pages quite quickly because the structure, it never changes. It's one template. The elements that you need within, they don't change. So if you have all of this on your landing page, it's just a case of changing up the content, changing up kind of the way that you advertise. So one of them is like the first section of your landing page, which is above the fold. So it's the first section that someone comes into contact with when they view or land on a page that you've sent them to from your ad campaigns. And what you want to ensure here is that you have a compelling headline. There needs to be a brief description and tell the consumer why they should, number one, care about your product, but what problems are you solving for them? If they've landed on your landing page from an ad, does it match the ad that you've been advertising, or was it so clickbaity they've landed on your landing page and now it's almost has nothing to do with the ad that you've advertised or the promises that you made on that ad? And that is really crucial. We see a lot of brands also create these wild ads, and then when they land on the landing page, it doesn't even match the journey, and this can, number one, frustrate a consumer but lead to high bounce rates. Then your product details, like I mentioned with Rolling Square, you really want to highlight the benefits and key features of the visitors, to entice visitors. It's really a place for you to kind of ensure that you're like shining. Your product is really shining and someone can truly understand what your product is all about. Offer section. So driving urgency, having limited time deals constantly. And if you're a Shopify brand or your website was built on Shopify, there are awesome apps in terms to do this that are super easy to implement and that can create the exact same kind of reaction from an urgency perspective that you want and need. Testimonials and social proof. Our younger generations and even now older generations really look to peers and what reviews are being written about your brand to make an informed decision. It's no longer a case of just kind of blindly Googling what the best product is, really trusting peers to help make their decision. And trust and authority. Do you have like any press articles about your brand? Influencers that have mentioned your content? But with influencers, I would tread lightly here and ensure that it really looks authentic and that the influencer matches your brand and kind of what you stand for. And any user-generated content. So if you have videos on how your product is utilized, how it's being used, the benefits of it, that can be a really, really great way to showcase your brand in front of your target audience. You can also include different like how to use sections. An FAQ section is also a must for your page. So the questions that you receive on a daily, you want to also have on your website because other people might have the same questions if it's come up quite a bit. And then with landing pages, it can become such a huge rabbit hole that people look against to test because you feel, oh, it's so much work. But I can guarantee you, if you have these sections on your landing page, there's very little that you've missed out on. These are kind of the core pillars you need to add to any award-winning and amazing and high-converting landing page. So better landing pages lead to obviously lower acquisition costs because if the customer really has a seamless journey online, they're going to convert. So that's why this is almost sometimes the largest growth leak because it's not done correctly, and you've excelled in ads, and this is also where that drop off can happen because your landing page is also not keeping up with the current economic landscape or market trends. So that's why you want to always be testing this piece of content. Then in week 5, what you'll basically want to focus on is scaling by making data-driven decisions. And what I want to highly encourage and what we see is that you can easily get lost in the numbers when there's so many metrics out there that you're optimizing for, that you're seeing, and you can get lost in the numbers. But what essentially you want to do is break down the most important KPIs for your business. And essentially that's what we did below here in this table. So if you set up this table in a Google Sheets to help track your key performance indicators, you can easily see what you need to kill, where you need to improve on. And these KPIs are almost, I want to say, to make decisions quickly and to be able to scale and test quickly. The only figures you need to look at. Don't get bogged down on too much of the nitty-gritty, or try and optimize like your CPCs and CPMs too much that you lose focus on, okay, you're trying to optimize for the wrong KPI because your product, your average order value is so low that you'll never be profitable on even acquiring a customer, no matter how low your CPCs or CPMs are. So really focus on these core KPIs to make decisions. And what I would suggest is go back 3 months, curate all of those KPIs that you have on your top performing ads on each platform. And then what you want to do is create benchmarks for your brand. So say at these benchmarks, we are profitable and we are ready to scale. And then as soon as an ad or a campaign has hit those benchmarks, you know, okay, I can start scaling my ad spend and scaling that campaign. So it's really about setting the right goals. So you know for your brand, conversions are really important, revenue is really important. How are you going to reach that revenue is almost reverse engineering it and understanding, okay, which levers do I have to pull, meaning which KPIs can I influence, the right KPIs, and taking it from there. So it's all about doing it step for step, rather than getting bogged down in too much of the nitty-gritty. And you really want to prioritize impact. So focus on the activities that are generating the most significant results. So as mentioned, don't be too bogged down on ads that are not getting the correct or the lowest CPCs or CPMs. Focus on the ads that are getting you the highest average order value and understanding why are they working and the others not. What about the landing page is being enticing? What about my offer is really converting consumers, and take it from there. Really the simpler and the more consistent you do this on a weekly basis by analyzing your data, it's going to shave so much time off of your day and free that time up for activities that are actually moving the needle forward. And then lastly, once you have gone through week 1 to 5, you have nailed down everything, you're feeling on top of the world, you're really understanding your product, you're seeing some traction on your ad accounts and your campaigns, you can then move on to more advanced scaling strategies. So this is where you're looking for to gain that edge. And if we had to say it, which we don't believe that there's some sort of magic formula, these are just additionals you can add to the foundation you've already created. So for example, the content flow engine. So we've created something in-house at R17 called our content flow engine, where we nurture prospecting or prospecting audiences with tailored content, with a tailored content engine. And essentially what this means is we're trying to lower our acquisition costs, and the foundation of that is educating the consumer on the problems that they might be facing and positioning your product as a solution. So that's one way in which you can leverage an additional growth stage. Seasonal sales, so planning for Black Fridays and like Christmas sales, Cyber Monday, Singles Day. So you do want to have some sort of campaign live during those essential periods. Influencer marketing, so this does help build trust and credibility, but what I would focus on is don't be too discouraged by influencer marketing because you think you need to spend $100,000 on a post for 2 seconds by Kim Kardashian. I mean, it's probably way more than that, but really micro and nano influencers can be a real game changer, and not only help kind of elevate your brand, but get you the content that you need to use for your ads as well. So it's a great content generator at an affordable price to use those types of influencers. And then optimizing your fulfillment. So really trying to streamline your operations. Are your products being delivered at a fast enough, in a great way to your consumers? I mean, this definitely plays into your customer relations. I mean, AI is a massive tool right now for many brands that they are utilizing, but you also want to ensure that you have that personal touch and care through your customer service. And that's where you make all the difference and change just a one-time customer into an evangelist for your brand. And the list does not stop there. There are so many more ways in which you can scale and so many more strategies, but this is just the quick wins. But essentially, if you have created the foundation that you need in the 6 weeks, the sky is basically the limit of what you need. So you really don't have to stop after these 6 weeks. There are so many more strategies, but this really just sets up the foundation that you need to be able to implement these more advanced scaling strategies. Because if your foundation isn't correct, I can guarantee you're going to be struggling for months and years to come. So we've come to the end of the framework, and you might be thinking, oh, this is great, or no, I'm rather going to go on my own path. But you have the full framework, so the ball is entirely in your court, and it's kind of time for you to now take action and scale. So what we've done is we have really fast-tracked or tried to fast-track growth for many brands, take the guesswork out of scaling in terms of what do you need to do, what do you need to focus on, where do you need to start. And essentially at R17, we are always happy to guide you every step of the way. So there's kind of two approaches that you can take to this, is take this framework and the ads mastery that we'll share with, and kind of the next step is to do it on a self-guided path. So go and use the framework at your own pace, so you can move at your own kind of schedule, learn by doing yourself. And it's kind of best if you like testing things yourself and want flexibility. But essentially at any point in time or at any kind of stage you need help and you're not really sure where to go from here, or you want another soundboard, we are always here to guide you. So you can always reach out to us, and we can kind of give you and help you on a step forward, and we can guide you towards a more tailored kind of product that fits your brand or needs. So whatever you're looking for to take you to the next level and you're struggling to figure that out on your own, we're always here to help. Or we have a really exciting program. I'm super excited for it, because it doesn't lock you in, and it really is all about implementing this framework the correct way, and that's through our Done With You Accelerator. So it's basically about hitting the ground running, and it's an 8-week program. So we go through the framework step by step with you. We are helping you to ensure you make the right decisions, you look at the right data, and showing you and guiding you exactly how to implement every single step. And this includes weekly strategy calls with myself as the expert. So we will really look at where you are in that week, what you're struggling with, how to implement the correct strategies, and we're giving you a full ad account audit. So even before we start, we'll really analyze your campaigns and what you've been doing so far, and then tailor the 6-week program to that. We'll give you plug and play templates. So we have a host of SOPs and other frameworks to help you get to the answer that you need. And then also just step-by-step support all along the way. You'll have our email, you'll have us on WhatsApp to be able to contact us when you need assistance or when you're stuck. And this is the program that you really want if you want to see results faster and have just a clear plan for scaling. So there's literally no guesswork. in this plan, it's basically taking your brand and elevating it to the next level. So book a call with us to see if the Done With You Accelerator is a fit. We are only taking 10 spots for April, so there's only 10 available right now for April. So I would highly encourage you to just book a call, see if it's a fit. There's literally no obligation or strings attached. And we can have a chat about how to take your brand forward. So I really hope that this was helpful and that you leave this webinar feeling refreshed. And as mentioned, we'll be sending you the Ads Mastery, which is our free resource, and this presentation, so you are ready to scale and take your brand to the next level. So until next time, see you guys again, and thank you so much.